Hi, I'm Robert Crow and I'm with Searchlight Group. Today we're going to talk about how your website can learn from your customers and adapt itself to show them content and products and offers and so forth that they're really more likely to be interested in. Rather than being a one-size-fits-all, your website can surface content that your customer is more likely to be interested in. And it does that by watching what your customer does when they visit your website. This is like a shopkeeper noticing that a customer is looking at a particular part of their store and helping them see all the great stuff that they have to offer. In digital marketing, this is referred to as implicit personalization. But I'm going to try not to use buzzwords. I'd rather talk about this in plain terms so that it's easier to understand, but there are some terms that we do need to understand. Okay, first, a profile. A profile is an area of information about your customer. So, for example, budget would be a profile, or readiness to buy, or if they're a car buyer, then maybe car type, or the brand of the car. So within each profile there are profile keys, which are the aspects that make up the profile, and this gets confusing. For example, if the profile were car type and the profile keys might be sports car or minivan or pickup truck or sedan. These are all types of cars. Or if the profile were car brand, then the profile keys might be Ford and Toyota and Chevy and Honda. Okay. Finally, there are patterns, which are like types of customers that you've identified. For example, you might have a soccer mom pattern or a business executive pattern. Patterns are defined in terms of the profile keys that you've identified for your business. So if you're selling cars, for example, it might be the brand of the car. And as a customer browses around your website, they accumulate profile keys. And then Sitecore finds the closest match between that customer and the patterns that you've identified and shows them the content that you think that kind of customer will be interested in. This is like a shopkeeper seeing a customer browsing in the shoe department while wearing a business suit and concluding that that customer is probably interested in dress shoes. He's in the shoe department wearing a business suit. The shopkeeper might then offer that customer a coupon for a discount on dress shoes. Today we're going to look at a travel company, and we're going to look at how their website learns from their customers and adapts itself. We're going to use the Sitecore Experience Explorer, which is a tool that is really very useful for testing your website's digital marketing setup. Right now we're a visitor, and we're a new visitor. So if I go to my on-site behavior here, you'll see that no profile keys have been applied yet. So let's browse around a little bit, and we'll start to accumulate some profile keys. Let's go to featured destinations. Okay, still no profile keys. And notice there's nothing here above the Caribbean, and try to remember that, because later on there will be something there. Now let's click on Caribbean. Okay, notice that we've accumulated enough keys now that Sitecore is able to identify us as matching the Sandy the Sunbather pattern. Why is that? Well, let's take a look at Page Editor and see. This is a profile card, which is a convenient way to bundle up profile keys and assign them to a page. When a customer visits a page with a profile card, that customer accumulates the profile keys in that card. Let's open that up and see what it looks like. Okay, so here's the sunbather profile, and here's the values expressed as a graph for that profile. So we can take a look at them expressed as numbers. Here's the different profile keys that we've identified: business, couples, duration, family, nightlife, repeat visits, and tourism. And we've assigned each of these a number for this particular profile, the sunbather. So let's go back to Experience Explorer. Okay, so here's the profile keys associated with us right now. You see the values that we've accumulated just through that one little short browsing session. And the closest match is Sandy the sunbather. But why is that? Well, let's jump into Marketing Center and look at the pattern cards that are set up for this website. Okay, so here's Marketing Center. It's one of the tools within Sitecore. And these are the profiles. And really, in this case, the only one that we're using is the visit profile. And here are the profile keys for that profile. Remember, we just saw these when we were looking at the keys that we had accumulated. So under that are the pattern cards. And one of them is the one that we've been matched to, Sandy the sunbather. So if I take a look here, I see that someone with these kinds of values for profile keys match Sandy the sunbather. Each of these pattern cards has different values here for the profile keys. And that's how we identify different types of people, different patterns. So that's really what we're talking about. Trying to find the closest match to the patterns that you've identified. In other words, figuring out what kind of customer is visiting your website. Let's plug these profile keys into a spreadsheet and show how the matching works. Okay, so we put this spreadsheet together to show how the matching works. Sitecore uses something called squared n-dimensional Euclidean distance to determine the best match between a visitor's profile keys and the patterns that have been identified for the website. The closest match is the one with the shortest distance. If we plug our current profile keys down here in, we see that sure enough, Sandy the sunbather is the closest distance and therefore the best match. Okay, let's go back to the website and keep browsing and keep accumulating profile keys. Okay, so now when we go to Featured Destinations, notice this area here. Remember that before we looked at this and that was blank. And now it's showing us things that it thinks might be appealing to Sandy the sunbather. Why? How did that happen? Well, let's switch back to Page Editor. Okay, so you see this element here? This is where that content should be, right above Caribbean. Let me scroll up a little bit. And you'll notice that right now it's blank. But if we click on it, we'll see how it's been personalized. The default is blank, and that's what we're seeing. And remember, when we first came here, we didn't have any profile keys identified, so it showed us the default, which was blank. But now it thinks we look like Sandy the sunbather. So what does it show us? Well, we know what it shows us. It shows us the spotlights we were just looking at. That's why. This has been personalized so that when it sees a Sandy the sunbather pattern, it shows content that we think is going to be appealing to Sandy the sunbather. Okay, now let's go back to Experience Explorer and browse around some more to see what happens. Okay, so now let's click on San Francisco. So notice that we've accumulated more profile keys, and as a result, our closest pattern match has changed. Now we look like Sam the Sightseer, so the website's going to start showing us content for this new pattern. Let's go back to Featured Destinations. Notice that we're now getting these different spotlights. These are more sightseer-ish types of things instead of being all about sunbathing and the beach and so forth. The website has learned more about what we're interested in, so it's showing us different things that, again, it thinks will be appealing to us. Okay, we've covered a lot of ground. We've talked about profiles, profile keys, patterns, and squared n-dimensional Euclidean distance. But the point of all this is simple. Your website should learn from what your visitors tell it by listening to them, listening to what they tell you they're interested in. They tell you that by what they click on. They click on things that they're interested in. Then your website should take what it learns and try to show visitors things that they're interested in. It's a very basic and very old way of doing business. Pay attention to your customers and give them what they're asking for. If you'd like more information, please visit us at www.slgroup.com, and thanks for listening.